Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on NLBP TV. Today we're doing a member spotlight with Sandy Townsend of Diamond Ascension out of Long Valley, New Jersey. Hi Sandy, thank you for joining us today.
Hi Camille, thank you for having me.
No problem. So I love doing these member spotlights and kind of highlighting what all of our members do. And you call yourself Ascension Facilitator, which is a lot about the Transference Healing, which is energy healing. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about this type of healing, if you can. What I understand from our conversation before we turned on the camera was the main clients that come to you are usually emotionally overwhelmed. They have a lot of mind chatter. They might be anxious. And those are the type of people that you help settle. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about the process? Say if I was a client coming to you and I had some type of anxiety or emotional issues, what would a session look like for me?
So when the person comes, they actually sit in a chair. It's a recliner. So they kind of lay back, and most people take a nap.
Oh.
And I sit on the other side of the room in a chair, and they receive about 40 procedures into the body. So I am, but I'm not touching the body. I'm just filtering this energy into the body. And what it's doing, it's actually creating a lot of light into the body and making many changes in the body.
Okay.
So people normally after it will feel really relaxed. Like a day later, some people feel great. Some people can feel not so great because it's there's so many changes that actually happen in the healing. And then once I'm done with the healing goes for an hour. And so when I'm done, I actually just, tap them to kind of wake them up.
Okay.
And I go through about 45 minutes. I go over the results, like whatever I learned about them during the session.
Okay.
And it's quite, it gives a lot of details about what's going on with them. And then they also get something called lightbody essences, which are made from like crystals. They hold the energy of crystals. So they take that afterwards. It takes about 3 weeks for them to finish the bottle. And so during those 3 weeks, the energy is still working in their body to process everything.
All right. So this is something that's edible that they're taking?
It's liquid.
It's like liquid. So liquid crystals.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that this was such a long session. So the session could last, it sounds like, an hour and a half, 2 hours once you...
The first one is usually 2 hours because there's so much for me to explain.
Okay.
And I'm really talking about them, not anything else. I'm talking to them about them. The process really works to help you understand you.
Gotcha.
People learn to understand themselves at a core level, like a very soul level. So because of that, it just takes a while.
So I have a lot of questions now. So I'm curious, is it like talk therapy? They have to talk a lot about whatever issues they have, or are you able to see those issues without kind of reliving all of it?
Yeah, it all comes up in the healing.
And when you say comes up, is it that are you clairvoyant in some way that you are knowing of it? How does it come up for you?
I have a piece of paper that I work from, and I give them the piece of paper at the end.
Okay.
So from the different procedures, I'm just receiving information.
Okay. So it's like a
I'm
knowing.
trying to think how to explain it. It's like, you know, whatever is going on with them in that moment is going to come up. But it also often goes into past lives. It goes into trauma they might have had. Like it's healing on so many levels that, like, and I'll see all that during the healing. So
Incredible.
that's what I'm explaining.
Okay.
You know, it also works with, it brings in people's, it helps people become gifted. Oh my God, sorry.
Not a problem.
It helps people become, it brings in people's gifts. So meaning whatever you're meant to be doing in this lifetime, it kind of helps you get there.
Okay.
So if you, hopefully you come from more than one healing, because that's when the work, if you come from more, you just get deeper and deeper each time.
Right.
Helping you like really get to what you're meant to be doing in this lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was my next question. Do people come more than once? And what you're saying is once can do a piece of it, but each time it works from a different platform and you're getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah. I mean, I always recommend 3 is perfect. And it's not a weekly thing.
Right.
People could come once a month or even a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because it actually takes time for you to process each of those healings.
I understand.
Because they're so big.
Wow.
Yeah.
So afterwards, say like for the next 10 days after someone goes through a session, is it that they're still continuing to shift and deepen as that happens and starting to realize where it affects them in their lives?
Yeah.
I would assume. Yeah.
People go through complete mind shifts, like it completely changes your consciousness and you start to look at life differently, your relationships change, like just everything shifts.
That's incredible. Wow. So how, so you've been doing this, you told me before, for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And you said there's different levels that people can either learn just to do for themselves, like a basic level that they can come to you and learn just to do it for themselves, or
Right.
they can take deeper levels in the learning.
Right.
Correct?
And then they could work, you know, they could become a practitioner.
Okay.
So the fundamental is just for you, if you want to work on yourself. I highly recommend it to everybody because it was actually brought in for that purpose. Because as the earth went through an ascension process, as it is still going through, our bodies are also going through that process along with it. So our bodies are physically changing. Like our DNA is changing, our hormonal makeup is changing, chemicals. And so our bodies need to constantly be worked on to maintain ourselves at this point. So Transference Healing was actually channeled in as a self-healing system for you to work on. And when you, because you have to maintain, it really works on all the energetic bodies as well as the physical. So we have to maintain those energetic bodies at this time. Like it's really, really important because of all the shifts that are going on, like in the planet. We have to constantly maintain these energetic bodies.
Wow.
So that's really why it came in, because if we don't, we'll get sick. Like I haven't been sick in a very long time. I would say 10 years since I've been doing this, because I constantly maintain my spiritual body, like my energetic bodies.
Okay.
And when those are maintained, your physical body is healthy.
Understood.
Yeah.
So how long ago did this practice come into being? You said it was channeled into someone.
Yeah, it was channeled in 1999 by a woman named Alexis Cartwright.
Okay.
And she channeled it in at that point because she was told about the Ascension that was going to happen in 2012, and people just needed the help. And prior to that, our bodies were so dense that we couldn't have handled like this energy. But now, because there's so much more light coming into the earth, our bodies can handle it. But we have to work to adjust our bodies and maintain it. So that's really what Transference Healing came in for. It's a combination of like every healing modality out there is in this. So, I mean, it has sound, it has light, it has alchemy, it has crystal frequencies, like electromagnetic frequencies, like all that is in this. And what happened in in 2012, when the Earth started to do the Ascension, what happened to our bodies is our light bodies came in. So we have to continue, like we have to work with that light body and get it activated to actually adjust to what's happening like now on the planet.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So want me to explain the light body?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So the light body is one of our energetic bodies. It's a very, it's more light, and it's like multi-dimensional, and it contains like a bunch of codes per se.
Okay.
So and there's a lot of different levels to it. Like the more we grow and expand and work with the energy, the more activated like it becomes.
Right.
So.
Nice. So it's kind of like the energy side of us?
Yeah, one of them, like it's a part of it. But it's a very important part of it.
Okay. And you had said before that it's really going through this transference healing is really activating your highest gifts. So you work towards your purpose, I assume?
Yeah, because I don't know if you want me to go into this, but because one of the things it works with is Chiron. So when people come for a healing, I ask them their date of birth.
Okay.
And so that works because we work with something called Chiron, which is a planet. Or it's actually not a planet, but it works. It's a small type of planet. And Chiron represents a centaur. You know who he is, like the half man, half horse guy?
Yeah.
Ever seen? Yeah. So he was the wounded healer. So each of us come in with a wounding, a soul wounding from past lives. And we come here to heal it. Wow. So in the healing, I ask people their date of birth, and I look up what their Chiron wounding is. And it really supports them to understand, like on a soul level, like what they need to work at in this lifetime to actually bring in whatever they're meant to do.
Nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, so some of the past clients that you've had, is this a new type of experience for them? I've never heard of it, so it's kind of interesting for me. And if they're shocked at the end about their shift or understanding a purpose that they didn't see.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely different. Like most people say, I never felt anything like this. Like it feels different when you sit there.
You have me curious.
Yeah, it feels really different because it's such there's so much light that's coming in during these healings. So it feels really different to people.
Wow.
And that's why a lot of times they fall asleep, because It used to be worse. Like now that the planet has shifted a little bit, it's a little easier for people to handle it. But like people years ago, like people couldn't, it would just like knock them out cold almost. They'd be like, oh, wow, you know, because it just was, because they were so dense. And then to have all this light, like back in the, this is what people did back in the pyramids in Egypt, in the Egyptian times.
Okay.
They would go into these chambers, like the king's chamber and the queen's chamber, and lay in there and receive light into their bodies. So in essence, this is what transference healing is doing to people.
Okay.
So
when you mean light, do you mean sunlight or do you mean energy light?
no, energy light.
Energy light.
Yeah.
Okay.
To actually make changes in your body. Our bodies need light, like on a very high level to actually operate at your fullest potential. Like people, that's why when people get really stuck in emotions and overwhelm and all that, they get really dense and really heavy. So we need to lift all that. And that's why when they get a healing, they feel better, because it's actually going in there and making the changes.
Yeah, kind of loosening it all up, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
So if someone learned this for themselves, this is something you could do all the time for yourself.
Understood. Wow.
Yeah. It's great. It's incredible for kids. Kids, I love kids, working with kids, because they are actually kids born from, I believe it's 1999 on, have their light body activated already. They're coming in with this. So they're here actually to help us, and they're just these incredible souls. And so when they get these healings, one time, boom, they make like an incredible shift, because they're just, it just works with them because they're ready for it.
Right. And their bodies probably understand it more than ours.
Yeah. So they're great to work with. So for kids, like I use it for my kids, and it's just been such a great tool to, or whatever you want to call it, to support them, you know, because it's hard for kids growing up.
Amazing. So if someone wanted to learn this, do you teach in person, or can they learn online?
No, that has to be in person.
That's in person, but you do sessions online.
Yes.
Not online.
I don't even talk to them. I just set a time and a date. I run the healing. I talk to them afterwards, after the healing's complete. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, very neat. Cool. All right. Is there anything else that you want to tell us before we wrap up the interview that I forgot to ask, or that came up in your thoughts as I was going through this? I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We're good. Okay. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
My website is diamondascension.net.
Okay.
My email is sandy@diamondascension.net. And my phone number is 908-625-6732.
Excellent. And we will also have your information in our show notes. So if you're watching this on replay, you can look in the show notes and the information will be there. Thank you, Sandy, so much for joining us today and sharing your gifts with us.
Thank you, Camille.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.